Okay, this is a continuation of class 18 on Monday, October 26th. We're going to go into create another dormer as we created over here. So the second dormer to create is actually going to be a little bit easier than the first one because I already have most of the stuff in place. So I'm going to go down to my floor plan dormer bottom level again. This time I'm going to use just a different wall type to make things a little bit more clear. So I'll go ahead and select just a generic brick. This time, you see my temporary dimensions are showing up. I'll go ahead and lay this out. Let me jump to 3D. So we have something that looks a little bit different this time. Whereas this one was constrained to dormer top, this one, this particular wall is unconnected. But that's okay, we can go ahead and fix that when we need to. So we're just going to go ahead and leave it like this, as is. And I'm going to go back to dormer bottom. At this time, I'm going to go ahead and create my roof again. So I'm going to go back to my roof tool. I'm going to turn define slope on because I want to slope on this side and this side. I'm going to turn define slope off and put my front side in, and then I'm going to draw that back end piece for my roof. I use my corner trim and hit my green check mark. I don't want these walls attached because I'm going to fix that myself later. Now I'm going to go to 3D, see what it looks like. It's got something weird like that. At this time, I'm going to grab that roof. I'm going to change that from base level dormer bottom to dormer top. This time I'm going to select the walls, that dormer, attach top to base and attach them to that roof. Notice that these walls are sticking out here. That's okay for the moment. Let's see what happens when we connect that roof to the back roof. So I'm going to join this front roof to the back one. So I need to go to my Modify tab, my Join Roof tool. I'm going to click on this back edge of the roof and connect it to this part of the roof. And that's going to pull together like that. So let's pull out and see what we have that looks really weird here. So we've got something that looks like that. What happens here is when it connects the roof, obviously that front roof is higher than the roof it's being connected to. So it's going to give us something that looks like that. So obviously that's not correct. So much like we corrected the slope in this dormer, we're going to go ahead and correct the slope in this one. And I had that set to a 512. And then when we do that, we notice it's going to correct that roof at this time. Now it looks like a different, it looks a lot bigger and it comes back further because this one is a lot wider. I wasn't paying attention to my dimensions when I did that. I was just laying that out. When you're creating your dormers, it will give you specific dimensions in order to create that. So just for what we're doing right now, this is fine. So our next step is to cut the dormer space out from this area. So remember, in order to do that, we're going to go to Architecture tab, our opening tool, and our opening panel and dormer tool. We're going to click on the roof where we want that dormer cut from. We're going to pick the roof and wall edges. With those selected, we're going to go ahead and use our corner trim tool to close that geometry. I'm going to hit my green check mark and hide that roof so you can see that that dormer is cut out there. So once again, it just takes a little practice in order to get the process correct. By doing that, once you have that first one done, the second ones get subsequently easier. In your instructions for that mod, you will have those specific dimensions laid out where the dormers will be facing, so you will have that information. It'll make it a little bit easier for you, but the process would still be the same. Any questions about that?
Can the bottom of the dormer be below the roof line? Like,
Well, go ahead.
so where it may extend down below a floor or something. I'm just thinking in terms of having a dormer come forward or toward the front of the, clear to the front of the facade.
Yes, you can have that come out a little bit further up to the front of here. Yeah, you want it, but, and then it would, when you have that placement, you're going to just want to make sure that as we look through here, it's not going to want to protrude outside of this roof line. I mean, if it comes outside here, it's going to be hanging out over this roof. So the whole purpose of it is to be enclosed inside of this roof area right here. So it's not going to be sticking out like a turret or something out here. But you can have it come down if you wanted to have it even with this roof line. Yeah, and so you can see how that lays out right there. So it couldn't come out further than this roof area right here.
Okay.
It would be flush with the front of the house if that's what you're asking.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, you can do that. Yeah, this is just to kind of get this laid out so you understand the process.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Anything else, y'all? And you can see that there's a difference in heights of this roofs. This is just, this corresponds to the size of those. They're different dormer sizes, which is why it looks weird here. But typically you wouldn't see something that looks like this. They should, you know, typically be the exact same size. But there's differences with the size of the types of wall that were used here, and then also the dimensions of the dormer that were created. So yeah, typically you wouldn't see something that looks like this in an elevation view for dormers. So. All right, unless there's any other questions, we're going to go ahead and move on to standing seam metal roofs. All right, so I'm just going to use the roof that's in place here. When I click on this roof, I want to use a basic generic 9-inch roof to start. At this time with this roof, to get started, we're going to want to go to an elevation view. I like to use this view over here, either with a gable or without, but I like to use parts where we have the hips that are in the smaller side. At this time, I'm going to go to my Modify tab. I'm going to go to my Copy tool. I'm going to select this roof, and then I'm going to right-click and do Finish Selection. So I just have that one roof selected. At this time, I'm going to pick that peak of the roof right there and just drag that up. So I've actually just copied the roof. Let me do that again. So in order to duplicate this roof, I need to make another copy. In order to do that, I'm going to go to Modify tab. I'm going to go to my Copy tool. I'm going to select the roof that I want to copy. I'm going to right-click and hit Finish Selection. I'm going to go to that peak right there, click, and just drag that up. There's no measurement per se right now. I just want to make sure that it's in the exact same location and it's just copied vertically up to be off of the original roof. So here we have a second roof. If I click off of it and I just kind of come over here, you'll see that it already has the dormers cut in it and everything, so it's kind of nice. So it's actually just a copy of the roof that we already have in place. At this time, I'm going to go ahead and select that copied roof again. I'm going to come over to my Properties tab, and come over to my type selector, and I'm going to scroll down to sloped glazing. So now what I've basically done is I've changed that roof type to what looks like glass. And that's just the process that we need to do. So you're going to pick the sloped glazing, which is like a glass roof, but obviously you don't want that. So we're going to go into edit type. We're going to duplicate and rename that. And then we're going to call it standing seam metal roof. So at this point, we have our curtain panel option, and it says none here. At this time, we're going to change that to solid. For our grid 1 layout, in order to create that grid, we're going to do a fixed distance. We'll make those 3 foot apart. And for the mullions that are going to go on top of that grid, we'll just go ahead and use the 1.5 by 2.5 rectangular. And we'll just hit OK. And as that processes out, you get something that looks kind of like this. So basically what we did is we changed the roof to metal, and we added this grid right here that put these mullions on here that now resemble a standing seam metal roof. The pattern isn't great, so in order to fix that, we want to select that roof again. Come over to our properties, and where it says grid 1, it says justification beginning. We want to change that to center. And it's going to realign that grid pattern so it looks spaced properly now. At this time, we want to go ahead and select the roof again. You notice if we scroll up to our base offset, it's offset at 2 feet. We actually want this roof to lay on top of this other roof, so we're going to change that to, let's just change that to 0 for now and see where that lands us. So obviously that's not going to work. So let's offset that 6 inches. And we have a little bit of a gap here, and we want it to just kind of lay on top. So I'm going to change that to 5 inches. There we go. So here we have our standing seam metal roof, which is really nice. Just for further definition of what that is, I'll show you some images. This is what we're creating, similar to the roof types that are on the buildings at Delgado. So we're just creating this roof type here. Remember, this is just for our rendering and our images. The actual details of how to create this roof would be in our actual detail plans. So this is just for your rendering. We're not actually going to be pulling correct dimensions and things off of this. So we'd actually be creating our roof detail separately. Remember, this is just to create the actual model itself. So let's do a couple more standing seam metal roofs. We can do the same thing with these little dormer roofs that we created here. So we're going to do that the same way. For this roof here, remember, I'm going to copy it. So I'm going to go to my copy tool, select the roof, right click, finish selection. Go to that peak right there, click, and just copy that up. Doesn't matter what height it is as long as it's off that original roof type. At this time, I'm going to take that basic roof and I'm going to change that to the standing seam metal roof that I created. Notice when I do that, the stuff that I've already done is already in place there. It is the same roof type. This is where it gets a little bit confusing as far as connecting these roofs and in the order that we do it. Let's go ahead and try and connect this roof right now. So we're going to use the same join unjoin tool. Notice when I do that, it's not letting me select this roof. So let's undo that. What we need to do is before we change that to a standing seam metal roof, we actually need to connect this roof to this roof. So we'll go ahead and use that join tool now. Now we can select that, and we'll select this back roof line here. We can take this roof now and change that back to our standing seam metal roof. At this point, it's offset 1 foot 10 inches. Let's try 1 foot. Good. Actually, let's try 1 foot 1 inch. Better. Now we can see that the roof types match. The only thing that was sticking through before was the mullions. We can also see that the pattern's off here. So we want to go back and set that justification to center. And now we have our 2 standing seam metal roofs. And I'll go ahead and do this last one. Same process. Go to my copy tool, select that roof, right click, finish selection, select the top center peak, drag straight up. So at that time, I want to go ahead and connect this new roof to this back roof. To do that, I want to use this join tool. Go ahead and click this back part of this roof and connect it to this roof. That will pull that together like that. Once that's pulled together, I can change this roof type to my standing seam metal roof that I created. With that still active, I want to change that offset. Let's try 1 foot. One foot, 1 inch. Good. And now I want to change my grid justifications to center. At this time, you can go ahead and put your fascia, gutters, and soffit back on. Don't worry about soffit for the for the dormers. Just put your soffit around this part of the building itself. But you do want to put your gutters and your fascia where needed. So just for fascia. Drop it as is. And of course, you'd add your gutters on top of that as well. So what you'll need to do for the next assignment, that knot isn't live yet. You can start playing with section views. You can add your interiors level, create that. You don't need to actually have that finished for now. There's a lot to do between now and then, but if some of you who are ahead of things can get that started, you will need to create a couple of dormers. You'll have instructions and dimensions laid out on how to create those. Should be a pretty universal dimensions. Some of you may have more shallow roofs that may have a little bit of difficulty with it, but I'll see if I can get some universal information over there so everybody can use the same dormer sizes. And then you will need to create a standing seam metal roof on your building as well. So that'll be due, you still have time to do that because we still have class on Wednesday. It's not going to be due before Wednesday. It'll probably be due like Saturday, along with Wednesday's assignment. But that's everything for today. Any questions, y'all? I will say that sometimes a lot of people get frustrated with doing dormers and the standing seam metal roofs. The best thing to do is just go through and watch the process again. A lot of times if you get like one piece, things won't work. It's very similar, very typical in Revit. But once again, it's just a matter of getting that process down. So don't let it get you, don't let it frustrate you. It just takes a little practice. But that's it for today. So we'll go ahead and drop. I'll get these recordings uploaded as soon as possible. Give me a little bit, about 30 minutes, and I'll get those up. And that'll be it. And I will see y'all Wednesday unless we hear from the college otherwise.